أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام على أبا عبد الله الحسين المظلوم الشهيد كربلاء السلام على أولاد الحسين السلام على أصحاب الحسين. Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen, tonight there are hundreds and thousands of lovers of Ahlul Bayt who are performing their tawaf Bayn al-Haramain in Karbala al-Muqaddas, lighting candles in solidarity with the women of Ahlul Bayt, granting their condolences with their tears to these oppressed women. And it is the right upon every Shia on a night like this to send his salams to Sayyid al-Shuhada. For we, as the lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen, we send our salams to Sayyid al-Shuhada, even though our bodies might be in London, but our hearts are in Karbala. For join me 3 times. In your loudest voices we will say, Assalamu ala al-Husayn, wa ala awlad al-Husayn, wa ala ashab al-Husayn. Inshallah your salam reaches to Sayyid al-Shuhada. Assalamu ala al-Husayn, wa ala awlad al-Husayn, wa ala ashab al-Husayn. As-salamu Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn. As-salamu ala al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn. Allahumma al'an qatalat al-Husayn, Allahumma al'an zalimi hurami Rasulillah, aslihim ya Rabbi harran nar. Shi'as, you have been weeping from morning continuously. Your hearts have been grieving. A lot of you have even stayed up the entire night weeping for Sayyid al-Shuhada. But you have some sort of comfort that when you go home tonight, you have a house and a bed to sleep in. Lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen, those of you who are parents, when you tuck your children into bed tonight, knowing that they will sleep safe and sound, remember the daughters of Rabab. Remember the Aitam of Hussein. When you rest your tired body tonight, remember Sayyida Zainab al-Kubra, this woman who did not sleep the night of Ashura and the whole of Ashura, when she saw her brothers and her nephews and the bodies of her companion one after one on a night like this, she did not sleep for the wink or the blink of an eye. It was this Zainab who sat guarding the tents where the children had a chance to sleep in the desert. For remember Sayyida Zainab, But remember the aitam of Ali Muhammad when you go home today. When the Dhul Jana of Sayyid al-Shuhada returned back to the tent, and the women saw that the saddle of the horse is stained with blood, they showed that the horse has returned, but the rider has not returned. They knew that Abu Abdullah has been martyred. For the women and the children ran towards the horse, and they began to weep and wail. On the side of the tents of Ahlul Bayt, and on the other side of the battlefield, between the ranks of the enemies, the blessed head of Sayyid al-Shuhada was mounted on a spear and lifted. Allah, these enemies celebrated their inhumane victory, beating the drums of celebration and laughing and chanting slogans, parading the head of Sayyid al-Shuhada around Karbala. At this time, little Sakina grabs the hijab or grabs the hand of Sayyida Zainab. She says, Auntie Zainab, is that the head of my father on a spear? She says, Auntie Zainab, if this is the head of my father, where is the body of my father? What answer does Zainab have to a child's question like Ruqayya? It was the Asr of Ashura that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifested His anger and His wrath upon the killers of Ahlul Bayt. It is narrated in traditions that after the head of Sayyid al-Shuhada was separated, the sky went dark and the moon ceased to give its light. The stars ceased to shine in the darkness. Rather, the stars started colliding in the skies out of the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Elements from within the army of Ibn Ziyad say that when we saw the change in weather and the change in the atmosphere and a devastating wind began to blow across the desert plains, we felt that the day of judgment has fallen upon us. But still, this was not enough to stop these beasts, people who were the servants of the devil himself, mercenaries of Iblis in the form of mankind who walk the face of this earth. Signs like these did not have an effect on their hard hearts, to the extent that some of the Maqatil say when the pure head was raised on the spear, people started chanting Alhamdulillah and Subhanallah for the victory Allah has given us over the rebels. Those were so-called Muslims who prayed, and then they were the Muslims of Ahlul Bayt and the prayers of Ahlul Bayt. It is narrated that as the women and Imam Sajjad were surrounded by these strange men chanting their slogans of victory and chanting slogans of death towards Ahlul Bayt, all the women surrounded themselves around Sayyida Zainab in the tents. Some of them were weeping, some of them were wailing. The women not knowing what their fate is going to be and how the enemies and Shimr and Ibn Ziyad are going to treat them. They cried over the fact that they knew Sayyid al-Shuhada has been killed, but they cannot walk into the battlefield to see his body. All this while Sayyida Zainab sat around Imam Sajjad lying down in a state of intense sickness. Sometimes Imam Sajjad would gain consciousness. He would see the women sitting and wailing around him. He would look at them, and from the corner of his eye, his tears would start to drop down. But Allah, Imam Sajjad was so weak that as soon as he would shed some tears, he would fall unconscious again. He spent his time being conscious and unconscious until came a time where Sayyida Zainab and the women heard the horses of Ibn Ziyad galloping and running on the plains of Karbala. For Sayyida Zainab thought, I wonder why these horses are running at this time. She said, the army, the battle is finished. Our men have been killed. Why are they regrouping their horses? Sayyida Zainab al-Kubra says that she opened the door, or she looked through the flap of the tent, and she saw, or she heard Umar ibn Sa'ad call out, O horsemen of Arabia, come to me, those of you who have your strongest horses, those ones that have the sharpest hooves. Set 5 of your horsemen on the east of Karbala. Set 5 of your horsemen on the west of Karbala. Ya Shias, put your hands on your hearts. In the middle is the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada. The headless body of Imam Hussein was put in the middle of the battleground. Umar ibn Sa'ad says that I will reward the 10 horsemen who trampled the bodies of Hussein with their horses. Zainab is watching from the tents. The horses begin to run from the east. The horses begin to run from the west. They meet in the middle. Allah, Allah, the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Sometimes it is on the right of Karbala. Sometimes it is on the left of Karbala. Every bone in the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada was broken by these horses. Until these horsemen came to Ibn Ziyad and they said, we have crushed the body of Hussein to the extent that you cannot tell from the bones of Hussein and the sand grains of Karbala. Sayyida Zainab gathers the women and the children, convincing them to remain calm, consoling them that their father is watching them from the heavens and that Rasulullah is their protector. It is narrated that at this time, as the trampled body of Sayyid al-Shuhada lay on the plains of Karbala in the darkness, and the enemies retreated back towards their camps to celebrate with the consumption of wine and other najis drinks. Over here, the doors of the heavens opened, and there were 4 anwar, there were 4 lights that descended down from the heavens onto the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Allah, Allah, the traditions tell us the first nur was Rasulullah. Rasulullah descended down on the body of Hussein, crying out, Waladi ya Hussein. He says, my son Hussein, what has this ummah done to you? The second nur that came down was Amirul Mu'mineen. When Amirul Mu'mineen came down, Ajib. They say the narrations tell us when Amir looked at the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada, his tears began to flow down his cheeks. But when he saw the grief of Rasulullah, he hugged Rasulullah and he said, my brother, Allah will reward us on the martyrdom of my son. The nur of Imam Hassan descends down. Imam Hassan cries on his body. The 4th nur, Ya Shia, was the nur of that mother who is Madlu. That mother whose son's body was trampled and his blood was shed across the lands of Karbala. Allah, Allah, the traditions tell us that Sayyid al-Zahra descended down. She threw herself on the body of Hussein. And Rasulullah told Amir al-Mu'mineen, lift Zahra. Allah, Allah, if there was death in the alam of Barzakh, then Zahra would face death again. When Sayyid al-Zahra saw the injured body of Sayyid al-Shuhada and the blood still gushing and oozing from the wounds, Allah Sayyidah Zahra appeared in one of the dreams of the ulama. When the ulama, or what this khatib, when he would recite the Maktal or he would recite the Masa'ib on the night like this, Shaame Ghareeba, and would talk about the body of Sayyidah Shuhada, in one of his dreams, Sayyidah Zahra comes to him and she gave this khatib an order. She gave this alim a command. She instructed him. She said, the next time you sit on the mimbar and you recite the musibah of Shaame Ghareeba or Laylatul Wahshah, I want you to tell the people how I felt when I came down and I saw the body of Hussein. The khatib is listening. These are the masaib of Sayyidah Zahra. Sayyidah Zahra says, woe upon a mother that her son is in front of her covered in wounds. But this mother is so madloom that she cannot even dress the wounds of her son. She cannot even bandage the wounds of her son. What difficulty is there on a mother? The traditions tell us that the Anbiya in their entirety descended on Karbala on a night like this, condoling Rasulullah, giving their condolences to Amirul Mu'mineen. Adam wept on Hussein, Nuh wept on Hussein, Ibrahim wept on Hussein. Allah, they tell us that when Ibrahim went to Amirul Mu'mineen, Ibrahim said, Ya Amir, ajrakumullah, when I had to sacrifice Ismail, at least I had a fold over my eyes, but here was a Hussein who saw his infant pierced with an arrow with his eyes. This ma'atam and this aza nurani from the heavens where the Anbiya come to give their condolences to Ahlul Bayt. The night continued to progress. At another time, the army of Ibn Ziyad and the army of Shimr convened again and began to gallop their horses and ride their horses. Sayyidah Zainab now began to ponder, the battle is over, the body of my brother has already been trampled, why are these horses regathering themselves again? At the first time Sayyidah Zainab heard the horses running across the plains of Karbala. This time when Sayyidah Zainab opened the flap of the tent, she saw that the enemies are riding towards the camp of Ahlul Bayt. They were riding their horses towards the tent. Sayyidah Zainab begins to panic. She looks up to the heaven and she says, oh Father, Ya Ali, what musibah is this? What do they want from us now? At this time Sayyidah Zainab hears Shimr shout from the top of his voice, أَضْرِبُوا أَوْ أَحْرِكُوا بُيُوتَ أَعْدَاءِ اللَّهِ. Shimr cries out, burn the tents of the enemies of Allah. The crowds of Shimr are riding their horses. All of them have got torched flames. They come towards the tent. They light the tents of the women of Ahlul Bayt on fire. Allah, the traditions describe to us how the women ran out of the tent. One of the historians say that when a misbah or a tasbih breaks, how do you see the beads go in every direction? The women of Ahlul Bayt ran in every direction. There was one woman who didn't run out of the tent. She would go into a burning tent and then come out. She would go into a burning tent and then come out. Hamid ibn Muslim said, I wonder who that woman was and what she was going for. Hamid says that I came closer and I saw Zainab al-Kubra dragging Zainul Abidin by his legs outside the tent.
The traditions tell us that tents were burning, the women ran in every direction. At the same time, the army of Shimr began to loot the belongings and the possessions of Ahlul Bayt, to the extent that they stole the mat on the which Sayyid al-Sajjad was sleeping. They took every possession, and then they showed these little girls running between the tents, one burning tent to another. One of these daughters was Sakina, the daughter of Hussein. Muhammad ibn Muslim says that I saw a person from the enemy grab onto Sukaina. He slapped her across the cheeks. Allah, Allah. This person wanted to loot the earrings of Sakina. Hamid ibn Muslim says he did not even wait for Sakina to remove her earrings. Allah, Allah, ya Shia. He snatched the earrings from her ear, ripping her earlobes while blood began to trickle down. The traditions tell us that when Sukaina, one of the other daughters of Imam Hussein, saw this, she became struck with awe and fear. The enemy saw her, so she began to run away from the enemy. The enemy picked up a broken lance and he threw it towards Sukaina, hitting her on the head. Sukaina fell down unconscious. The enemy stole what they had to steal, and Sayyida Zainab quickly comes with Kulthum after having been lashed and whipped. She gathers all the women. She tells Kulthum, put the women and the children in one place and begin to count them, lest we have lost anyone from the children of our Rasulullah. Kulthum begins to count the children. All the women and all the children are present except one. That one daughter is the daughter of Hussein, Sakina. Sayyida Zainab begins to cry. She says, Allah, Allah, this was the amana from my brother. Whereas this amana gone within few hours of his martyrdom. Sayyida Zainab goes into the battlefield calling out, Ruqayya, Ruqayya, Aina anti ya Ruqayya. Where are you, Ruqayya? If you hear my voice, then reply back to me. Zainab's walking in the darkness of the battlefield, and she hears one little voice cry and show in the corner. Allah, Sayyida Zainab could not see anyone, could not see any of the bodies because of the darkness. Sayyida Zainab continues to walk from the direction of that little child cry. Sayyida Zainab says that she stood in front of a headless body, and Sukaina or Sakina is on this body, on the chest between the arrows. She's saying, Baba, oh my father, after you left, Shiva slapped me. Oh Baba, after you left, they tore the earrings from my ears. Oh Baba, why don't you wake up? Baba, they are beating our mothers in the tent. Baba, how do you sleep when Sakina is still awake? Sayyida Zainab takes Sukaina or takes Ruqayya and kisses her on the forehead with great difficulty. She separates the girl from the body of her father. She brings her into the tent and they all sit down. Sayyida Zainab and Kulthum try to put the children to sleep and console the women. Allah, Allah, at this time it is mentioned in the Maqatil that a person wearing a niqab holding a spear came towards the tent. Sayyida Zainab looked at him. She picked up a broken arrow, a broken spear. She stood at the remainder of the burning tent and she said to him, Uqsim alayka billah, I swear to Allah, I take you under oath, do not take a step towards this tent. This person continues to walk. Sayyida Zainab says to him, if you continue to approach us at the tent, I swear to you, I am the daughter of Hyderi. When she said, I am the daughter of Hyderi, this person removed his niqab from his face. He said, I am Hyderi. Sayyida Zainab fell onto the ground. She says, Father, oh Father Ali, now you come to Karbala. She says, Father Ali, where were you when they cut Abbas's hands? Oh Father Ali, where were you when they were trampling the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada? This is the oppression of Amirul Mu'mineen that he had to watch from the Alam al-Barzakh, from on top of the heavens, the dhulm and the oppression that was carried out on his son. Allah, Allah, Ya Shia. My last statement for you from the Masaib over here, then the Masaib of the night of Ghariba or Laylatul Ghariba cannot be comprehended. But I will tell you, as they were plundering the tents of the women, before they plundered the tents and before they trampled the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada, the Makatil tell us that the enemies went towards the martyred body of Sayyid al-Shuhada when it was lying on the plains of Karbala, and they began to plunder what was on the body. Somebody came and took the amama of Rasulullah. Somebody came and removed the shirt, and I wonder what remained from the shirt, which was already torn and pierced by arrows. So a person took the amama of Rasul, of Sayyid al-Shuhada. A person took the shirt of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Another one found his abba and took the abba. The narrations tell us that even the slippers that Sayyid al-Shuhada was wearing, they removed it. Put your hands on your heart, Ya Shia. The Maktal tells us there was one person called Bajdal al-La'in. When he passed by the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada, he saw that there was a ring on his small finger on the right hand. Bajdal says, when I saw this ring, I wanted it for myself. He says, I tried to remove the ring. The ring wouldn't come out. He said, I tried to pull it with force. It wouldn't come out. This is the martyred body of Imam Hussein. Bajdal says, I took out my dagger. Allah, Allah, he says, I wanted the ring, but the ring doesn't come out. So I took out my dagger and I cut the finger of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Wa Hussein, Ya Hussein, Wa Hussein.